Good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon, and it's Jim. It's Amadeus. It's uh stuff going on today. Amadeus, we got football, we got baseball, got college football, and all kinds of fun stuff. Hope you're doing well this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Jim. Thursday is always an exciting day because from
Hmm.
now till Monday, there's football every game or every day. So
Yep.
you just get a nice fix. It seems to be Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the lull days of the week now.
Well, soon we'll get Maction coming back to ESPN, so we'll get Tuesday. We'll get some Tuesday football from Maction.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'm sure there'll be a lot more interest in the MLB once the playoffs start too.
oh,
Everybody seems
100%.
to
Yeah.
taper off this time of year. It's the last month of the season. Let's focus on football, and then
Right.
once we know the good teams are left, then
Once
then it's some
once
real baseball.
once October 1st hits, yes. Actually, the funny thing is, not funny, but from a standpoint of it's how close are we? This coming Sunday will be the last week, of baseball. 1 week from Sunday, it's over. And the one thing that I always thought was kind of interesting is that about 5 years ago, Major League Baseball made the the executive decision that all games would begin at 3:45 on that Sunday, so that you know nobody could scoreboard watch and basically find out what was going on with the other teams. Whether the game, in other words, uh, drama from the standpoint of you couldn't, of course, be knocked out of the playoffs or whatever from a standpoint of because the games wouldn't be over at that point in time. So if everybody starts at the same time, and obviously the reason it was 3:45 was that would be just before 1 o'clock on the coast. So everybody gets a an opportunity here. So that was the theory of the case, and that's why they moved it to 3:45 on Sunday, on basically the last day of the season. So some of those guys have to wait till 7, 8 o'clock before they start playing golf. But it is what it is.
Won't be getting around in that night. Maybe on the West Coast, get nine
Yeah,
holes in.
exactly. You know the Cubs have been a bizarre situation. Remember, about I don't know 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were in first place, and they've kind of fallen on hard times at this point. Um, you got to wonder if they don't make the playoffs, if it's a disappointment. Because, again, nobody expected them to. They weren't, basically they weren't the guys that were going to make the playoffs. But they got in that position at one point. They were leading Milwaukee, and now they're fighting like heck to get into the playoffs. So the Cubbies are one of those teams that you sit there and go, hmm, or are they going to be happy at the end because they got so close, or are they going to be, PO'd at the end because they didn't make it?
Yeah, well, bizarre is definitely the word to use with them, just because if you look at the way this season has gone, right before
Mm-hmm.
the halfway point, they were
Right.
10 games under 500, and then they made that big run where, they pulled themselves over 500,
Yeah.
got themselves obviously in the conversation, and now they've just fallen off again. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you weren't really expected to do much, so how
Mm-hmm.
disappointed you could be. Obviously, you're going to be disappointed because you were there and you had the opportunity to make it,
Right.
but yeah, they're just one of those streaky teams, and they got cold at the wrong time.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, they took a flyer on Cody Bellinger. What was a 1 year, $17 million deal, and Cody had come into the year just off a 178 season for the Dodgers, and he's balling out. I mean, he's really doing fantastic stuff for them, and they're getting some incredible. Happ is playing well for them. Hit a grand slam last night. happed it. So from that standpoint, you're getting some of these guys that you basically took flyers on are actually balling out for you.
Yeah, and it makes you think maybe you got to move those guys, obviously, because they're not going to perform the same way next year, I don't think, and that's why it probably is a disappointment, just because this was the year when
Mm-hmm.
everybody's playing well and it's coming together for them.
Right, right. Somebody. I mean, what they've done has happened in Bellinger. If they don't sign with the Cubs again on a long-term deal, somebody's gonna have to fork out a long-term package for those guys. So they served the Cubs well, but then maybe the Cubs will not benefit from their good fortune at that point. So what are you going to do? Let me just check the scoreboard here this afternoon because we have some significant games going on. Rays and Angels are in the top of the fourth. The line score in that game is interesting. The Rays are 1-1-0, and the Angels through four are 0-3-0. So there you go. Zach Eflin is pitching for the Rays this afternoon. Brewers Cardinals. Brewers are beating the Cardinals at the end of four by a score of 1-0. Braves and Nationals. That game is starting a 4-game series in Nationals Park tonight. You got Fried pitching for Atlanta. You've got Irvin pitching for Washington. The Jays and the Yankees. That's an important game. The Jays are hanging in there, for the playoff spot. Berrios pitching for Toronto. Cole pitching for the Yankees. Cole's obviously the best pitcher that the Yankees have. I gotta say that was it last night? I think it was last night. Oh goodness. The Jays played incredibly. They played a good game last night. But why am I the kid that used to pitch for the Orioles? That's pitching for them went to the Giants. There's their number one guy, the Blue Jays' number one starter. Why am I blanking
Oh,
on him?
Gossman.
Gossman, Kevin Gossman. He was pitching last night well.
Yeah, he's been the guy for them all year. Really, he's been the most
Mm-hmm.
consistent. He had the best start to the season, and even over the last year anyway, he's definitely been the
Mm-hmm.
guy for sure. So if he's not pitching well, then the Blue Jays really have no chance in this wild
Well,
card race.
well, let's hope that he's pitching well. Orioles and Guardians play tonight. I got Rodriguez, who's the best pitcher for Baltimore. He's a rookie, but he's doing an excellent job. I don't have a pitcher for Cleveland. Maybe you do. Mets, Phillies. Peterson for the Mets. Suarez for the Phillies. Pirates, Cubs. Olivado pitching for Pittsburgh and Hendricks pitching for the Cubbies.
So
Detroit.
that
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland pitcher is Gaddis.
Is it Gaddis? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we? Oh, Tigers Athletics. Seguku pitching for Detroit. Medina pitching for Oakland. And the Dodgers and the G-Men, the Giants and the Dodgers. A very important game for the Giants if they're going to stay in it. Harrelson is pitching for them. He's the kid that they brought up. He's 1-1 with a 5.18 ERA. And Sheehan, another young pitcher, is pitching for the Dodgers. He's 3-1 with a 5.44 ERA, and that's Chavez Ravine tonight. Game can be seen nationally on MLB Network. So if you are so inclined to hang out for a 10:10, excuse me, first pitch at Chavez Ravine, then you can see that game tonight, right on MLB Network. So that's our baseball scoreboard for this afternoon, at least thus far. We've got a football game tonight. Now, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and you know, the Niners and the Giants, and just doesn't. The Giants. We'll see how the Giants could be 0-3 at the end of this evening. That would be putting them in a very precarious position for any for those Giants fans who were considering the playoffs, getting off to an 0-3 start is not necessarily the best way to get there.
You know what, Jim? That might just be the best thing for the Giants, though, because you had a very good head coach in Brian Dable. Obviously,
Hmm.
came over from Buffalo with Joe Shane there, who's
Right.
the GM. And these are guys that they want to draft their own quarterback. They came in and they listened to Mara and was like, okay, we'll give Daniel Jones a chance.
Hmm.
And of course, they had to go and make the playoffs, which kind of just ruined everything for Dayball because I still don't think I still don't think he knows, or I think he knows Daniel Jones is not the guy.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And you can kind of see from his face on the sidelines in some of these
Right.
games, like he's when Daniel Jones goes and gets hit. It's like he's got no concern because he would love an injury. Man, give me a new quarterback. Who's their backup? Tyrod Taylor, I think.
Yeah.
They brought over. So yeah, that Tyrod Taylor would probably be way better in this offense anyway. But
Everybody's favorite backup, Tyron Taylor.
but obviously they have the Saquon Barkley injury.
Right.
There's a lot of problems with this Giants team, and an 0-3 start might not be the worst thing because if they really have a clunker of a season this year, this might just be what they need to convince the front office of the Giants that it's time for a new quarterback.
Well, they'd have to. You as you say, they want to bring their own in. I'm assuming that would be through the draft. I'm not sure who's out there that they could have that would be an upgrade over what they got right now.
You know what? If they end up as a 3-win team or something, they're gonna have a pretty high draft pick, and
Well, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks this year. If nothing else, just from the Pac-12.
Well, we'll see. Penix
Yeah.
might opt in for a seventh season,
True,
right?
true.
We got someone from Miami there opting in for a ninth season,
Right.
So
Yeah, it's true. And with NIL money, who knows? He may be making more money than he could.
I heard a rumor that there's a certain team. I forget which team in the NFL it was, but Caleb Williams is willing to stay an extra year in school to avoid getting drafted by this team. I forget.
Oy.
I forget what the team is, but that's the rumors I've heard that he's willing to not declare for the draft if they get the number 1 pick this year.
And I know exactly the folks in New York are probably chanting Jets, 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 Jets at this point. That's probably what they're yelling. But we have no way of saying that is true. It may not be them. The last time, and actually he was not necessarily, actually he was quite vocal about it. And that was Bo Jackson. Bo stayed an extra year, I should say, in at Auburn because he didn't want to play for the Buccaneers. It was mistakenly taken that the ownership of the the Bucks at that time, Hugh Culverhouse, was racist, which he was not. It was what got Bo actually angry was Bo had made it very clear that he was going to play baseball too, and Mr. Culverhouse had made it very clear that if the Buccaneers drafted them, they would be willing to pay him a serious amount of money, but they did not want him to play baseball. So Bo, when you're as talented as Bo was, had the ability to stick around for one more year. Ended up in Kansas City, and we all know the rest is history. He played baseball. I mean, he also played for the Oakland Raiders. So yeah, the Raiders and the Royals as his teams. So from that standpoint, it does happen. I don't know whether Caleb. I don't. If I'm a quarterback and I'm in college, do I really want to stick around for another year where I could get hurt or something like that? I really am not sure that would be the wisest thing to do.
I know there was a quarterback a few years ago. I forget who it was, but he came out and said he didn't want to play for the Cleveland Browns. That was the year they drafted Baker
Well, they
Mayfield.
didn't draft him, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, there's a lot of kids that. I mean, you can teams are not going to pick players who don't want to play for them. So if you are honest with the with the front office prior to the draft, then they'll skip you if you don't want to play, because they clearly don't want somebody on the team who's not invested in playing for them.
Yeah, that's how you end
So
up with Kyler Murray.
I'm not gonna. Kyler Murray, who could have been a great shortstop, but chose not to. So I'm
At
not
this
gonna.
point, he's on the
Yeah,
same kind of team. The A's, the Cardinals,
yeah.
either way, you're playing for the
One
bottom of
way
the
or the
barrel.
other. Yeah, one way or the other. There's a guy who I know, Bodie Brazil, who is the pregame host of the A's, and he's been following anybody who wants to have a lot of fun. Follow Bodie on Twitter. Uh, he works for NBC Sports California, which is the folks that do the A's games, and he breaks down the A's going to Vegas and all that sort of stuff as the A's, pre-game show host. But Bodie was talking about the interesting situation of what kind of team they would have had they kept, Olson, had they kept, you know, Marcus, is it Simeon, the shortstop, a lot of guys that are on other teams producing quite well. Uh, and if you said if you mixed some of these new kids that they've got coming up, and that was what he was saying. He goes, "This is the problem. If they actually do go to Vegas, which won't be for a few years, by the time they get to Vegas with the quality of the kids that they have in their minor league system, they may be spending a year or two in Oakland, where they're actually contending for the American League uh, West title because of the talent that they have in the farm system that has not quite got there yet. So we'll see. It will be interesting to find out. Now that the Rays have their home settled, that's going to put the pressure on Oakland to get this done. And either one way or the other, they're either going to. I mean, that may be the one thing that sparks the owners to say, "All right, screw it, just send them to Vegas. I don't care." It's like just get them out of here. We don't want this anymore. Because what's going to happen is once they decide, let's say they do go to Vegas, then if the Rays situation is set, which it seems like it is, with their new stadium, and the A's are headed to Vegas, then Major League Baseball is going to expand by two teams. So Nashville probably is the East Coast team. The West Coast team, I would have to say, it's a toss-up. Although I would say quite likely it's going to be Salt Lake City, and why is because it would give them another mountain, time zone team, which gives them help in that regard. So the West team would be probably Salt Lake City, maybe Portland, but probably not. Obviously, Vegas would be off the board unless the Oakland A's would, somehow, some way make figure out a way to stay in town. But that just seems, I don't know, it seems a little odd at this point that I don't think they really want to, and I think there's a lot of bad blood between, Oakland and the ownership. So I don't know that they're going to get to that point. So we'll see. We will see very soon how that goes. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
the only people that want the A's still in Oakland are the fans, and
right,
the only ones that don't want them in Vegas are the fans. And I'm
that's
talking
true.
about the Vegas fans.
Well, yeah.
The local support. They do not want them.
Well, here's the interesting part of that deal. They have a deal with the Tropicana Hotel Group for, I believe it's 19 acres of on the Strip area right there, where they're going to tear down the hotel and build a new one, and there's going to be room. Now, 19 acres sounds like a lot, right? But the new stadium in St. Pete, there's 86 acres. So how big that footprint of a new stadium in Vegas would be is a bit interesting. How big could it be? So they are saying, the Oakland A's are saying, when they move to Vegas, the stadium will only have to be 30,000 seat stadium. Here's the one small little thing that I'm curious about. For them to pay off the bonds, I'm talking about now for the A's to pay Vegas off for the bonds that they're going to supposedly put out there to sell, to get the team to move, right? They have to have 10 years of 30,000 attendance average. That means they have to sell out 30,000 seats for 10 years for every game. I'm not a betting person, but I'm going to say I'm not certain that they're going to be able to pull that one off. And I don't understand why they would even entertain it from that standpoint. I mean, you're gonna have people come to Vegas to play baseball, and you have to sell out 30,000 seats every night for 10 years to pay off the bonds.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of an interesting situation. You say, so you were in Vegas. Is that the general thought of the people in Vegas, that they're really not overwhelmed by bringing in baseball?
Well, I didn't really talk to the people
You
in
didn't really
Vegas
do the poll, right? Yeah, I get it.
about baseball. It was more of a football trip,
Sure,
but from I read a lot of stuff online,
sure, of course.
and I like to read local papers,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a lot of the soccer stuff that
Sure.
I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And just it seems like the atmosphere in Las Vegas about this team is they would prefer an expansion team over the Oakland Athletics
Mm-hmm.
relocation. So you can put the A's in Vegas, but I don't think you're necessarily going to get the support from the locals.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed, a lot of the locals were like, "Look, we're happy with our hockey team. We're happy with the football team, but baseball, I'm not so sure that's what we want." And
There's too much to do in Vegas, especially
yeah,
with the March Madness season. Like, yeah, they don't really have a basketball team, but they have all the a lot of the big teams come to play during the tournament. So
well, the UNLV, always has a lot of fun. Um, the Pac-12, and that's going to change, but the Pac-12 brings their football and their basketball tournaments to Vegas, and my guess is Mountain West. Well, the Mountain West does bring their tournament to Vegas, but there's going to be a tournament in Vegas. I don't know if you saw this, but starting in 2024 to 2025, they're trying to figure out which, it might be 2024, but it's going to likely be closer to 2025. Fox has entered a deal with the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Big East to have a tournament of teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament. They're going to hold that tournament in Vegas the week between the Elite Eight, and I'm sorry, the Sweet 16 and the Final Four. So you have that whole tournament going on in a week when you wouldn't have basketball. And so it could be quite interesting. They're going to have it in Vegas, and that's going to be it's probably going to be a pretty good whack to the NIT, frankly, um, who normally gets those teams who don't make the tournament. So, Vegas will be a hot spot, as it always has been, for college basketball, and I wouldn't be surprised down the road that they land an NBA franchise.
yeah, and now they want to bring Formula One to the streets of Vegas, and yeah, if you're a local, it's probably getting to the point where it's just too much, and most native local natives to Vegas
Yeah,
that I know, they want nothing to do with the strip at all. So it's more,
right.
it's only if you're meeting people you'll go down to the strip. But like
Sure.
if you're just doing your daily life, you're not going anywhere near there. And
No.
that's the other thing with the baseball team is like now you're relying on a lot of tourists really to
Mm-hmm.
fill that stadium for you, because it ain't going to be the locals. They're not driving down to the strip to go watch the team formerly known as the Oakland Athletics.
Well, yeah. Well, the ironic thing is that for I don't know, gosh, decades, the team that has made that has been televised into the homes of Las Vegas fans has been the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are just about 256 miles, give or take, from Vegas. So the Dodgers have been Vegas's team for a number of years, and I just you're right. It's a tourist area, so even though it's rapidly growing, which it is, the area down there, um, baseball requires not just a fan base, but a loyal fan base. And yeah, you can get folks coming in on the weekend for to catch a game here or catch a game there. But you know as well as I do, you do not go to Vegas to go over to watch a basketball game or to go over to watch a football game. I mean, you may come in for the weekend if because it's only 8 weeks, right? 8 games. So you may go in from Oakland to see the Raiders play, or you may come up from LA to see the Raiders play. But that's just 8 games. That's not 81 games like you would have to come to see baseball in that regard. So I'm not so certain, even from a financial standpoint, because they built a stadium for the football team, they built a basketball arena for the hockey team. I'm not so certain that they've got the chops now to say, well, let's go and let's build a stadium and fill it up for the baseball team.
Yeah, and I think that's where the problem is going to lie with them. They're going to rely on people like you and me who are there for a week and decide, let's go catch a baseball game. But as you
Mm-hmm.
said, 161 games, you need the loyal fan, and you're not going to get those. You need the people you need in there are the ones who, live and breathe the sport. They're
Sure.
bringing, they got their kids in little league. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're at the baseball diamond themselves,
Right.
just watching their kids play every weekend. Those are the fans you need. Those are the ones that are going to fill the seats on a daily basis. And I just personally don't think you're going to get that in Vegas.
Well, the one thing they do have in Vegas, and then we'll jump on to the NFL tonight, um, is they have a very good AAA team, and it's very they got a lovely ballpark there. The Aviators play in the ballpark there, and they've got a good following for that. Minor league baseball, especially AAA baseball, is something that you can. It's a very family oriented thing because you don't it doesn't cost that much to go and watch the games, and oftentimes there's some sort of promotion that goes on so that the tickets aren't that expensive, and you can go out and watch the Aviators play for like 7, 8, $10. Best ticket in the place only costs like $25, and so they're used to that. But I don't think they're. I just don't think that even if it wasn't the A's, right? I just don't think that they're ready to be a baseball town because traditionally, cities like Orlando and other cities where you're reliant on tourists, it's not. It doesn't work. It just it nobody goes. And I mean, look at Miami. I mean, Miami draws more people for Messi and the soccer than they do for the Marlins, and the Marlins are in the hunt for a wild card spot. So
Yeah.
you know, even when the Marlins won World Series tournament, the championships, they didn't fill the building up. So anyway, off we go. Okay, we both are gung ho on the 49ers, and it's going to be an interesting game tonight. I don't think the Giants defense will be able to stop the 49ers from doing what they want to do. What's the line? You said 10 points yesterday. Was that what the line
Yeah,
was?
it's so
Did it
it
move at
actually
all?
yeah, it opened up at 10.5, and
Uh
it
huh.
moved down to 10 shortly after, and it's been like
Hmm.
that the whole week. But today it's back to 10.5.
Hmm. Okay. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
You know, and what was it? The game against when the 49ers opened against the Steelers, they scored 23 points on them and won that game 23 nothing. I think they had a defensive touchdown in that game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 49ers did.
I
So
believe they did, but yeah, they
yeah,
have they have very good defense for sure.
yeah, and we just talked about how dangerous, how the quarterback situation is not a Saquon Barkley's out. You've got a quarterback who you don't know what he's going to be doing. You got wide receivers who when they do play well, but you got to get the ball to him somehow. Uh, at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know if I don't know if I would personally would lay 10.5 points on the game, but I do think that the 49ers will win.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, you wouldn't look at it as a test for the 49ers on paper, but I
Mm-mm.
think it will be a bit of a test for them. It's their first home game of the season,
Yep.
and they're playing on a short week here, so
Right.
we'll see. We'll see what they have on this short week for sure. It'll probably be a lower scoring game. I think I would lean
Mm-hmm.
to the under in this one for sure.
Well, I mean, there's no reason to believe that the 49ers can't run on them. And if they can run on them, then they can shorten the game. And if you're the 49ers, that's what you want. You want to shorten the game, uh, take, make every possession that the Giants get important, and make force them to play your game. And I think when they get to Levi Stadium tonight, there'll be quite a large contingent there. The 49ers and the Giants, along with the Warriors, it's a very major league city. And the Niners and basically, I won't say that the Giants aren't up there with the Niners, but the Niners and the Warriors are really the two teams that draw the biggest fan base in Northern California. There, they really have got they've got that. Now the Giants, obviously, I'm not going to say they don't, but the Giants don't have the loyalty of the Niners and the Warriors fans. I mean,
You know what, Jim?
they go to
I
all
would
of them.
say Southern California too. We saw the 49ers sell out that
Oh
SoFi
yeah,
Stadium last week.
right. Well, in fairness, the Southern the Niners have fans all the way down to the Baja Peninsula in Mexico.
Yeah.
The Niners radio network, which also is in Spanish as well as English, has radio affiliates down in Southern California, in Los Angeles. They have them going all the way down into Mexico. They have a Tijuana station that carries their games in Spanish. So yeah, the Niners might be California's team if we go that route with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they've got a good following, and I think that they will tonight they'll find their way to Levi Stadium. It'll be an interesting game to say the least. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm thinking we're going to have some fun stuff there. Um, we got a college game tonight that might be interesting. Coastal Carolina and Georgia Southern, or is it not Georgia Southern? Georgia State.
Yeah.
The team in Atlanta that is it's kind of a commuter school, and they're new to the football, relatively new to the college football ranks. Coastal Carolina has been, kind of the darlings for a while, and so that's your college football game tonight of interest. And I don't really have a read on that one. Is Coastal a favorite in that game?
Yeah, Coastal is the 6.5 point. I've actually even seen it move to 7 today, so
Really?
it's a
Yeah.
7 point favorite in that one.
They
Um,
sh- they should be able to do well against Georgia Southern. I mean, I keep saying Georgia Southern, Georgia State.
yeah, the interesting thing about this matchup is that these teams have played each other every year for the last 6 years straight,
Yeah,
and the road team has won every game.
really.
Yeah, they've never won at home against each other.
That's interesting. Where are they playing tonight?
It's in Coastal Carolina,
It's at
and of
Coastal.
course,
Yeah, well,
Coastal
there you go.
won the game last year in Georgia State.
At the old Turner Field site. Um, okay, well, there goes my theory of Coastal being a better team.
Well, I mean, they still have the home advantage.
Hmm.
They do have a good team. Obviously, Grayson McAlpis is turquoise, so he's
Right,
he's all behind this offense for sure.
right, right,
When everybody thought he was going to leave 2 years ago after they had that ranked season,
right.
he's stayed put. So
He
he
hung.
definitely
Yeah.
he knows the system well. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. Probably the
Hmm.
total's 63 right now, but yeah, I think both teams are probably going to score in this game.
That'd be fun. We're gonna have something happen this Saturday that has never happened before in United States television history, and that is that on Saturday night, every network of the big four, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, are going to carry a sporting event instead of a scripted program. That's never happened before in the United States. And as fate would have it, all four networks, and by the way, the CW, which would be the fifth network, they're all carrying college football. Three of them are carrying a Big Ten college football game. So,
And is this because of the writers
it's just because of the
strike?
writers' strike.
Is
Yeah.
that the same reason why we're getting two Monday night NFL games? Because
Yeah.
ABC needs some action now for like the
Well,
first
yeah.
5 weeks of the season.
Well, they have ABC has a right because ESPN and ABC are the same, company, Disney. They have the right to air simulcast, if you will, any and all of ESPN's Monday night games. Well, because of the writer's strike, they informed the league that right now they're planning on 10 weeks of Monday night football on ABC, which obviously, if you know history, ABC Monday Night Football was where it all started. It moved back to ESPN when NBC got the Sunday night rights. That's when it moved, which I think was 2006 or something like that. So for many many years, Monday Night Football on ABC was a very was a big deal, and that's where of course Howard and Dandy Don and all those boys, went into that whole situation. But now it's back, and you got Buck and Aikman doing it. But yeah, it's because of the writer's strike, and they all have college football contracts, and so it just happens that that's where they're going to go with it. Now, the the slot there that everybody, I mean, NBC is slotted for a Big Ten game every Saturday night, so that isn't a surprise. But the fact that CBS, Fox, and ABC are all going to air games this Saturday night, it just goes to show you you know how things have gotten from a writer's strike situation, and also from the fact that there is now probably it hasn't been, certainly in I would say the last 10 years or so, it has college football has not been as popular as it is in the country today with the casual fan. So when you're talking about the networks giving up that much, and by the way, Fox is doing a doubleheader. Fox is doing an early game, which is Texas and is it Texas and I think it's Texas and Baylor. I'm pretty sure. And then they're doing the night game, which would be a USC game. So yeah, that's a 10:30 game is USC. So they're getting their they're getting their money's worth. Dion and the gang is playing a 3:30 game on ABC against Oregon, and that, of course, is the big game. That's their first true test against the Ducks on
Would you like to guess the spread in this one, Jim?
20 ish.
Ooh, you nailed that. 21. It's down. It's
Is it
down to 20.
21?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
down to 20 and a half at some places now, but yeah,
Have they
20.
seen have they seen Oregon play? No, I'm just you
I know
know
they like to score for fun.
uh, yeah. I mean, Bo Nix and look, I great props to Dion and what he is doing out in Colorado. Okay, 100%. However, I'm not so certain that I would be too keen on them going to Oregon, which is a tough place to play under any circumstances, and manhandling an Oregon team that's probably 4 or 5 players deeper than they are, especially on the offensive and D lines. I mean, there's no question. Now, does that mean that that young Mr. Sanders at quarterback can't put up some numbers? Sure, he's capable of doing it. There's no question. But I don't know. 20 points. I don't know if they'll win by 20, but I can't. As much as the Dion train is going and the Colorado train's going, I'm not necessarily. I'm not buying. I mean, Oregon is a hell of a lot better than both. Well, than all three of the teams that they played so far. You could take those three teams and put together an all-star team from those three teams, and still couldn't beat Oregon.
Yeah, I think
So,
this is probably the game where they get exposed for sure.
well, and then they go from there. They've got that 9 a.m. game, which is big noon against SC. So that's gonna be crazy. I don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, 9 o'clock in the morning. That is just not. I don't know what you're gonna get. Probably a sloppy game if I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I always hate those early morning games just because you never know if the teams are ready, especially for a West Coast team, because that's actually at 9 a.m. for
Right.
them.
Well, yeah, because the teams they're playing. Well, I mean, Colorado's only an hour difference, so that might be a situation. But I gotta believe that if I'm, you know, that's tough. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you've got if you, when you're a college football team, you show up for a noon game. You show up at 9 o'clock in the morning for a noon game. So that's when you go in. You get tapes. You get all that. All the stuff ready. It's to me that so basically you're talking that they're going to have to be at the stadium at basically 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock kick, and that's going to be interesting, to be sure. And again, like we said, it's only an hour difference for Colorado, so it's not that Colorado has a massive, you know, head start on this. It's not like they're coming from the East Coast where the timing wouldn't be as tough. But yeah, it'll be. I'm looking for that one to be a sloppy one. Maybe SC wakes up in the second half. But yeah, that's going to be crazy. But anyway,
Yeah.
we got a lot of fun games tomorrow. We'll touch base on both the NFL and the and what's going on in the wonderful NFL later. But yeah, some interesting stuff to be sure. So, what are we looking for tonight, Amadeus, on your card?
Yeah, so you can get my premium plays at bigowl.com, pickadvisor.com, and now the insidersroom.com, brand new site. Go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, not much for tonight. Just got to play up for the NFL and the college
Mm-hmm.
game. I also have some college up for tomorrow, and I'll be putting
Okay.
up my Saturday stuff later today as well. So yeah, plenty going on. Also tons of soccer as well. So yeah, go check that
Well,
out.
there's like I think like 27 games this afternoon on Paramount Plus of you know I don't know that they're of import, but they certainly are there.
Yeah, it's
There's
all the European Conference League stuff, and
we saw
half of
Fox.
those have
Yeah,
actually
Foxy
finished.
Foxy dropped by to say how much love he has for Man United.
Yeah,
Um,
you know what? They're atrocious, but Bayern is also a joke, man. Every time
mhm.
they took a 2 goal lead, they let Man United score right after. Like, come on, Bayern.
Stop it. So maybe we'll talk a little about Harry Kane tomorrow,
Yeah,
the $100 million man. So we'll see. He's not the $700 million man that
no,
Mbappe was.
nobody's the $700 million man.
Not even Mbappe.
Even Mbappe was like, I am not the $700 million
You
man.
know, I'm not cashing that check. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. So anyway, we shall see what we shall see, but it'll be fun, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. We're gonna have we'll have a jam-packed program to be sure tomorrow. So we got baseball, we got football, we got college football, we got pro football, we got soccer, we got a little bit of everything for everybody. And coming up on the Ryder Cup, that ought to be some fun too. Oh, there's Jerry. Okay, let's see what Jerry has to ask for us. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? I was wondering what percentage of the people that watch Deion Sanders in order to see him get beat, or the ones want him to see. You know what? It's probably about a 50-50 thing, if I had to guess, Jerry. It's kind of
Healthy
like the
mix for
old.
sure.
Yeah, I do. I think it's there's a lot of people who want to see him fail, and then there's a lot of people who want to see him succeed. So it's kind of like the old Howard Cosell thing when they had TV Guide once back in the 1970s had a poll that they took of the most trusted and um, the most trusted and liked uh, sportscaster on television, and the most distrusted and most and the one that they didn't like. And Howard literally came up on it 50-50. So I'm going to go with that on Deion. I think there's a lot of people that want to see Deion fail and his team get beaten, and then there's a lot of people who are on the train and on for the ride. So yeah, I think it's probably about 50-50 if I had to guess. I would think maybe if I had to slide up the scale a little bit, maybe more want to see him succeed than want to see him fail. But we'll see. Right? Um, he's when you're 3 for 3, meaning 3 weeks in a row you have the most highest rated football game, um, and it's Colorado, and you play Colorado State, which I don't think half the people who watch college football can tell you where Colorado State is located, let alone you know I mean, except for the state of Colorado. Um, it's interesting. So, Jerry, I'm going to go. I don't know what you, Alma Davis. I'm going to go with it's probably 50-50. And if I had to be pushed to one side or the other, I would say it may be 55, 60, percent who would want to see him succeed because it's fun versus the downside, which is, the status quo. So, interesting question. Good question, Jerry.
Yeah, I think it's probably a healthy mix, and then you probably even got a few of those people who just like never watched college football before, and those are the games they're choosing to watch because you hear so much about the storyline.
Yeah, one of the quick asides that I heard, I saw Warren Sapp on on Rich Eisen, and he said that when he walked into the locker room, that into the stadium, he went by the locker room, and the stadium. This is the last week against Colorado State. DJ Khaled was doing the in stadium music, and you're like, where else is this happening? Okay. And by the way, for those who
Is
don't know,
is
DJ
it
Khaled lives in
Colorado
Miami.
or California over here? Like
Right. I mean, he showed up from. I mean, DJ Khaled lives in Miami. I don't know what he was doing there.
Boulder's the
Um,
new LA. I don't know what to tell
I
you, Jay.
guess. I mean, it's you got Warren, you got Ed Reed, you got who else? Michael Irvin. Yeah, all his cowboy buddies are up there. So yeah, it's gonna, it's a happening with Dion. There's no question about that. No matter where he goes, it's gonna be happening. And we were just joking. I mean, about L.A. I mean, man, that L.A.'s gonna be that's gonna be like the Formula One race. Where you're gonna see all of the famous people showing up. So it'll be crazy. It's gonna be nuts. But everybody wants to watch him, Jerry. Whether they want to watch him to hate on him or they want to watch him to love on him, you can't deny numbers, and the numbers have been very good for them. So we'll see, bud. We'll see how long the train continues, but I'm thinking it's gonna run for quite a while longer than what we got right now. But who knows, right? We shall see. So you've got some stuff going on tonight, and a ton of stuff probably for tomorrow and the weekend. So we will have plenty of time to pay attention to what's coming up. So, by all means, everybody, get ready to join us tomorrow around 2 o'clock, and we will be here. And, we'll have some fun. All right. So, until then, for Amadeus, I'm Jim. Take care, everybody.